أعوذ بالله من السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله نعبده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأن محمدا صلى الله عليه وسلم عبده ورسوله يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا والسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين أما بعد. तो आज का session is going to be about balancing work, life and deen. In a society जहाँ पे we are all on the go with all the distractions in this world, the question comes, how do we balance our life, right? So how do we make sure that we are giving time to Deen, giving time to family, giving time to work? Where do we draw a line, and how do we kind of काम किस तरीके से करना चाहिए हम हर चीज पे हम अपने आखिरत को भी संवारे, एट द सेम टाइम दुनिया भी देखें, राइट? अल्टीमेटली हमारा गोल है आखिरत, दैट इज आवर अल्टीमेट गोल. एंड हर चीज जो हम करते हैं इस दुनिया में इस वक्त पे इज गोइंग टू बी वर्किंग टुवर्ड्स आखिरत. ये दुनिया इज ओनली टेम्पररी एंड दैट इज द फर्स्ट थिंग दैट वी हैव टू एक्सेप्ट. अगर हम एक्सेप्ट नहीं कर सकेंगे कि मतलब अगर हमारी दिल इस दुनिया में लगेगा, देन ऑब्वियसली हमारे आखिरत इज गोइंग टू बी इम्पैक्टेड. सूरह बकरा में अल्लाह एक आयत है that says inna fi khalqis samawati wal ardi waqtilafil layli wan nahar. Indeed, in the creation of the heavens and the earth, the alternation of the day and night. तो अल्लाह सुब्हानहू व तआला कई जगह कुरान में डे एंड नाइट का जिक्र करता है, एंड दैट्स फॉर अ पर्पस, टू शो दैट हमारा दिन है to go and earn and to provide for the family, and the night is to remember Allah and to rest. तो what is and how, मतलब शुरुआत किस तरीके से करना, and the best example is our Prophet wassalatu wassalam. He was our example that we have to look at. He is the example that we have to go to. He is the example that we can follow. And obviously the Sahabas hai, that is their examples we can look at. So the question is, how did our Prophet ﷺ spend his day? What did he do? How did he achieve what he achieved? Obviously, we cannot match what he is. We cannot even come close to what he is. But we can look at what his life was like. उनकी लाइफ किस तरीके से बटी हुई थी, एंड वो एंगल वो तरीका हम अपनी लाइफ में अपनाना है. तो उनकी लाइफ में क्या था? What did he do in a day? Number one was he spread the deen and the message of Allah. That was his main goal. He was destined to send the message. He was a messenger, and his job was to spread the deen of Allah. Then, apart from that, he was there for providing guidance and support. Sitting in a mehfil, sitting in a group, he would be questioned. He would provide guidance. He would provide support to all the Sahabas and people around him. Third, he would strive for jihad. Jihad, as in, obviously, he was out in the wars. He would accompany all his companions to all the wars. Then, help the needy. When he had time, he would help the needy. He would go out. He would see who needs help. He would help them. Then he would give time to his family. And उसके कई हदीसें हैं through Aisha रज़ियल्लाहु अन्हा, जहाँ पे the Sahaba used to ask him कि what did he do at home? So she would say कि he would basically help us around the house. He would do his own chores. वो अपना काम खुद करते थे. He would help us in our household chores, and he would stitch his own clothes, do his own work, and obviously his ibadah and his zikr was the ultimate. So that was his life. now looking at this, what do we do in our life, right? Now उनकी जो तहज्जुद थी was unimaginable. एक narration है जहाँ पे आयशा रज़ियल्लाहु अन्हा says, "Oh Prophet," she sees the Prophet of Allah. I'll paraphrase it. She was seeing the Prophet ﷺ praying so long that his feet would crack. So she asked the Prophet, "Okay, why do you do this when Allah has already forgiven you for your sins for the past and future?" So he says, "Okay, why shouldn't I be a grateful slave of Allah?" So that goes to show his ibadah at night was prolonged, was very long. And कई रिवायतें हैं, कई हदीसें हैं through Abu Huraira, Ibn Abbas that talk about the length of ibadah that he would do. So now the question comes, how do we use his example in our life, right? सबसे पहले we have to understand one thing कि Surah Wal Asr में Wal Asr innal insana lafi khusr. By the passage of time, surely humanity is in grave loss. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala takes an oath on time. What does that mean? The question is, yes, he takes an oath. But for a man, for you and me, what does that actually mean? When Allah takes an oath, basically, when Allah takes an oath, it's a big deal. Why? Because time is of essence. Time that we have is limited. Before, and obviously we know the qadar, we know we are destined for X number of days. तो हर एक की लाइफ अलग अलग है. कोई 70 years रहेगा, कोई 80 years, कोई 90 years, कोई 40 years, कोई 30 years. Again, that's all depending on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and our time. Our time is fixed in this world. So her second that we are using, it has to be to benefit us for the akhirah. That is the approach that we have to take. And that there is no time कि भाई हम जिंदगी गवा दिए, हम आखिरी वक्त पे आके कर रहे. No, there is no time limit for that, right? जब भी आपको अल्लाह तौफीक दिया, जब भी आपको मौका मिला, whenever you realize it's time for you to work towards akhirah. Your time is an investment. What does that mean? That means it's like आपको कुछ पैसे मिले हैं to invest into a venture capital. You're a venture capitalist. You have X number of dollars to invest into a company. You will look at making profit. आप चाहेंगे कि आपके जो पैसे हैं will always return an ROI, right? You don't want to invest into a bad investment. आपका गोल रहेगा कि हमेशा आप अपने पैसे सही जगह पे इन्वेस्ट करें ताकि आपको उसका ROI अच्छा आए. So what does ROI mean and what does the bad investment mean? What does profit mean? What does loss mean? Profit basically means आपकी आखिरत आप संवार रहे. You're doing good deeds. Bad investment obviously means you're doing sinning. When you do a bad investment, what happens? You have to do an extra investment to recover the losses first. So you have to do investments that you can first recover your losses and then you make the profit. उसी तरह आप जब अपनी दुनिया में गुनाह करते हैं, that is your bad investment, and you have to do deeds that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala may accept and make it positive for you. तो इसलिए बोलते हैं, if you do a bad deed, follow up with a good deed, ताकि your bad deed can be erased. इसलिए नमाजें are so important because नमाजें erase the sins that you have done between the namaz. So that is very important to understand. Yes, we all make mistakes. We all fall into error. We are human beings. If we did not, Allah would replace us with somebody else. So we are here to make mistakes. But how do we recover from the loss? By doing deeds that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala likes. That way, our investment continues to grow. And at the end, when we reach our ultimate goal, we are able to attain Jannah. So how do we balance our life and how do we what are the how do you distribute your life in all these different areas that you're able to benefit your not only this world, in the akhirah as well. There's an hadith that says you're not meant to be only doing ibadah of Allah. Allah is not sent you for that. Because if that is the case, then there's angels who do that. वो उनका काम वही है कि टू डू इबादा. हमारा काम है to not only do ibadah but also survive in this world, to also grow in this world, to also be able to help the ummah. That is our goal, right? Be it a man, a woman, हर एक इंसान का एक गोल है, हर एक इंसान का एक जॉब है. Not only do ibadah. It doesn't matter आपकी उम्र क्या है, आप किस उम्र में हैं, आप छोटे हैं, आप बड़े हैं, हर एक का एक गोल है. तो सब्बिह इसमें तो जो सूर्य आला है, सब्बिह इसमें रब्बिकल आला अल्लज़ी खलक़ फसव्वा. अल्लाह हर स्टेज में आपको एक काम दिया है. There is a job for you in every stage of your life. As your young boy, your young girl, आपका कुछ काम है. आपको पढ़ाई करना है, आपको अपने माँ बाप की बात सुनना है. आप जब बड़े होते आपको अपनी फ्यूचर के लिए रेडी करना है. आपको अगेन पढ़ाई करना है ताकि आप अपना अच्छा जॉब ले सकें. आप जब जॉब लेंगे आप अपनी फैमिली को सपोर्ट करना है. अगर आप एक घर में आप एक हाउस वाइफ हैं, आपको अपने बच्चों को देखना है. तो हर एक का एक स्केड्यूल है, हर एक का एक जॉब है. एंड दैट इज वन ऑफ द मेन थिंग्स दैट वी हैव टू अंडरस्टैंड. ओके, हर एक की एक ड्यूटी है. एंड वी हैव, एंड इट डजंट मैटर व्हाट एज यू आर एट, दैट ड्यूटी यू हैव टू फुलफिल. एग्जाम्पल देता हूं आपको मैं. ड्यूटी ऑफ अ son to a father. It doesn't matter how old the father or the son get. The son will always be dutiful to the father. A wife to a husband. It doesn't matter how old the wife gets. She continues to serve the husband as needed. Doesn't matter how old the husband gets. He has to keep providing to the wife. तो हर एक का रिश्ता अल्लाह सुब्हानहू व तआला इस तरीके से बनाया है कि हमारे को हर स्टेज पे हमारी एक रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटीज है जो हमें करना है. एंड द रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी ऑल्सो इज इबादा, राइट? यू आर फुलफिलिंग योर इबादा. You're not just sitting at the mosque doing ibadah the whole time, letting somebody else take care of family. No, you're sitting and you're doing ibadah is by doing your duty. But that doesn't mean that you let go of the other pieces. So what I have done is basically I've gone through multiple narrations, I've gone through multiple kind of studies, and I've put together a 5-step process, right? 5 चीजें हैं जो हम अपने लाइफ में लाना है हमें, right? Again, this is through not only my saying, but again through scholars, through multiple authors and all that, right? Number one है ibadah. We have to be able to spend time to give to Allah. That means the 5 daily prayers. That is the number one thing that we have to obey and do. 5 prayers means you have to give each namaz its due time. Not just read namaz and just walk away. Remember, आप जो नमाज पढ़ रहे हैं, again, the word of ihsan comes into play here. हर action जो मैं बता रहा हूँ आपको इसमें, we have to try to achieve the ihsan in that. Means Allah is watching us. Yeah, we are in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So number 1 is ibadah. And that comes under the 5 daily prayers. आपके फजर से लेके इशा तक. अगर it takes you 5 minutes to do 2 rakat, takes 6 minutes. Just to give that extra minute to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because that 1 minute will truly change your ibadah towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. फिर आपका जुम्मा है, right? जुम्मा मतलब क्या? You have to attend the Jummah prayer. That is a fard kifaya on every person in this society. Every Muslim, they have to, and a man के लिए Jummah is compulsory. So do not say कि मुझे काम, and we live in a society जहाँ पे every culture is accepted, right? आप इंडिया में हो या आप सऊदी में हो या आप इंडिया में हो, दिल्ली में, where you are. अगर आपको नमाज पढ़ना है, no one's going to stop you from praying namaz, especially in Toronto, in Canada, where all culture is given importance. If you have to pray namaz, if you have to go to Jummah, you can simply go. No company will stop you from going to Jummah, right? So Jummah should be a list on top list for every man, especially the ones who are working, because, and if you are in school, अगर आप स्कूल में हैं, if you are not able to do Jummah, come home and do Zohar. So that namaz of Zohar and Asr should not be missed. If you are in a position, okay, you can go and do Asr and Dhuhr, do it in the at work, some place where you have time, and do it. Do not skip it, because that is because you're skipping the namaz for dunya. अगर आप नमाज को importance देंगे, Allah will give you barakat in your own life. तो इबादा, आपके 5 daily prayers, आपका जुम्मा, आपका tahajjud, and your 12 sunnahs if you have the time to do 12 sunnahs, or the 12 sunnahs. तो इबादा को आप time देना. Along with that, Quran. Quran is, again, we always iterate this, Quran is not meant for Khatme Quran, Quran Khani and all that. Quran is a book that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has bestowed upon us as the biggest mercy, taki we can recite it and learn from it. The barakat that flows through the Quran is unimaginable, and that is our duty to daily recite one ayah, ya one ruku, ya one surah, jo bhi aap kar sakte. Give the Quran its due in your day. It could be literally a 5 minute. Agar aap student hai, before you leave to work, just take 5 minutes. एक 2-3 आयत पढ़ के निकल जाओ. अगर आप ऑफिस में काम करते हैं, you're driving, कुरान गाड़ी में सुन लो. अगर आप ट्रेन में हैं, just sit down for a bit. आपके फोन ऐप में है, recite the Quran for a bit. So make it a point कि every day you give it at least some time. Again, that is a requirement that we have to do, because all these मैं जो बता रहा हूँ आपको are daily things that we have to include into our life. So ibadah, number 1. Number 2, your work. So up now, if you are spending 6 to 7 hours of sleeping, you have the remaining day for your daily thing. Again, remember one thing: your time is your investment. Her approach that we do in this session is going to be, time is limited. Our goal is going to be to make the best of our time. If something you're doing that takes you 3-4 extra hours, and the same thing can be done in a shorter time, don't do that. With extra time, apni benefit ke lagao. And that is, the man has been given that ability to do that. The man has been given the choice to pick and do what is better for him. So what delays your time, avoid that. What you see in life that will not benefit you, उसको reduce कर दो. If you can't stop it, reduce it, ताकि आप अपने life को benefit करो. You're a businessman. Every human being is a businessman, and your goal is to make the best of your investment. That is the approach that we all have to take in our life. कि हर second is an investment that is being wasted. So the question is, do you want to waste your investment, or do you want to use it to make profits? So if that is the mindset that every person goes with, then inshallah ta'ala we'll all change the approach that we look at life. So number 2 is aapka work. Give your work is work. Do not go to the work and do Quran. That is not your job. आपको work में work करना है. You have to give it your duty. आपको जो 8 hours है, जो भी 7 hours है, जो भी आपको काम करना है, आपको काम करना है. Give it the best you can. If you are going to school, work hard towards that. If you are a housemaker, work towards what you do. तो हर एक इंसान का एक duty है which they have to fulfill, and that is part of the ibadah again. So that is, for a man, it's earning bread for the family. For a student, it's working towards betterment of your future. For a housemaker, it's betterment for the house. So हर एक की duties है, responsibilities है that they have to fulfill. So give your work the time that it deserves, that it needs to be done. Then number 3, which is very important, is family. Give time to your parents. Number 1. Agar aap student hai, sit with the family, sit with your parents. If you are a husband, sit with your wife. If you're a wife, sit with your husband. If you have siblings, give them time. If you have children, give them time. This is a time where you are spending time with them. Remember, again, the point of time. we do not know how much each person has. So her time, you have to think it with that approach. Okay, this could be limited. Do not think it, you know what, I have mera, and this is the man thinks कि I have many years to go. अभी तो मेरा काम, अभी तो मेरा मेरी मेरी मुझे काम करना है. बाद में जाके I'll spend time with the family. No, your time is not that way. You have time is in current, in present. Future only Allah knows. So look at what present is. Do not look at what future is. Future, yes, give your future a thought, but do not live your life for the future. Live your life for the present. Live your life for the akhirah that you will be getting, because that is what you do in the present to attain the akhirah. So that is the approach, that is the thought process that we as human beings have to go with. So time with the family. Now, this time could be any time that you give. Just sitting and talking to them, understanding their problems, just giving them time, because that is a time where आपका प्यार, आपका love, आपकी मोहब्बत, आपका जो bond है is being spent there, right? When a son or when a father comes back from work, that few minutes that they give their children, the children love that. That few minutes that they give the child will remember for the very long time in his life. Small memories are the memories that remain with you in your whole life, not the large memories. Large memories you will forget very fast. But the small memories are the memories that truly will stay with you as you go forward. So those few minutes, those few time that you spend with the family is extremely important. Then do things that are halal and beneficial for all of you. Again, when your family doesn't mean that you do things that are haram. आप ऐसी चीज ना करो जो आपकी फैमिली को बेनिफिट करती. Again, that is your investment, that is your time that you have to give your family, ताकि it benefits each one of them. ये time है where you can spend time talking about Deen, talking about our Prophet, the stories of Prophet, how to better yourself, right? Simple thing. Let your family all of एक हदीस सुना दो. सुना पे they give it 10 minutes ताकि वो हदीस की our benefit हो. Any house जहाँ पे अल्लाह का जिक्र हो रहा, अल्लाह की इबादत हो रही, वो house पे angels will always continue to give their blessings. There's a narration that says when our Prophet ﷺ was telling the Sahabas, okay, every time you see a garden of Jannah, stop and sit and enjoy the view and then proceed. So Sahaba said, "Oh Prophet of Allah, how can the garden of Jannah be in this world? Right? Jannah is Jannah." So he said, any महफिल जहाँ पे अल्लाह का जिक्र हो रहा है, any महफिल जहाँ पे अल्लाह की बात हो रही है, that is a garden of Jannah. So imagine you in your house are talking about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's garden of Jannah. आप अपने घर को एक जन्ना बना दे रहे, garden बना रहे हो जन्ना. How good can that be? So give that time to your, because Deen is extremely important for a family to grow. अगर आपको, because इस society में there is so many fitnas outside, from the phone to the schools to workplaces and everything. Fitna is everywhere. We have to be able to keep ourselves motivated ताकि those fitna से हम दूर रहें. हमेशा ये होता कि हम बोलते हैं ना, why do we say मस्जिद में, why do go and stay time in masjid? Because जब मस्जिद से निकलते, those few moments, आपका ईमान is high, because you've come from an environment जहाँ पे deen has been spread. तो आप जब निकलते हैं वहां से, वो कुछ moments के लिए आपका ईमान is ऊंचा. But again, as soon as you come into this world, it goes away. So it is extremely essentially important कि आप वो जो कि you keep giving the dosage of deen to your family. And that is the job of the father and in every household कि हर father अपने अपने बच्चों को, अपनी बीवी को दीन का डोज देते रहे. And what another important thing, play with the kids, right? Especially in society that the phones have become such an important essential part of our life. Phones को keep them aside. Fix a time, yes, and we are all guilty of that. We are all guilty of that. But again, only if you try, you can truly achieve it. टाइम लगा दो कि भाई इस वक्त के बाद no one goes on the phones. This is a time for the family to spend and do time as a family. इस वक्त पे no phones, no messages, nothing. That is an important point that we all have to incorporate into our lives, because आज के दिन phone has become the सबसे बड़ा fitna in our society, in our lives. So we have to work extra hard to get that out of our system. So family आ गई है at number 3. So पहला ibadah, number 2 is your work, number 3 is your family, then number 4 is your personal time. Every human, every man, every woman needs time for personal time. Now, personal time again comes into two pieces. One, that you seek knowledge. The only way you are able to talk about Deen in your family is you yourself have the knowledge of Deen. It is mandatory on every man, every woman, every child that has attained the age to seek knowledge. Anas ibn Malik says, seeking knowledge is an obligation upon every Muslim. He does not say it's an option, no. It's an obligation. Ye hadith is authentic, it's sahih, graded at the top thing. So it's important that every Muslim seeks knowledge. And Quran mein kayi ayatein hain that talk about knowledge. And the first ayat, jo 6 ayat, jo Surah Al-Alaq ke ayat the, were for man to seek knowledge. Read in the name of Allah what you do not know. So, wahan pe hi Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made the Prophet recite and read what he does not know. तो वहीं से आपको मालूम है कि आपको सीख करना है नॉलेज. जालिक पहला कुरान का पहला सेकंड सूरह बकरा शुरू होता है विद द किताब. जालिक किताब ला फीही हुदल लिल मुत्तकीन. तो अगेन, to be a muttaqin, you have to have the kitab in your hands. And kitab is the Quran and the Sunnah. So that is सबसे important is to be seek knowledge. And we as Muslims, as believers, this is a point which we lack in society. No one is asking you to be a scholar, yeah, become a Hafiz al-Quran, no. But give it time, give it the due that it needs to have. Abu Huraira says, whoever travels in a path in search of knowledge, Allah will make easy for him to the path to paradise. People do not gather in the houses of Allah, reciting the book of Allah and studying it together, but that tranquility will descend upon them. Mercy will cover them. Angels will surround them, and Allah will mention them to those near him. So, seeking knowledge is a very important part of our deen. Because remember one thing, अगर आप knowledge seek कर सकेंगे, then only you are able to teach your family and people around you. तो जब तक आप knowledge खुद आपके हाथ में knowledge नहीं आती, you do not know what to talk about. And again, if you want to be a believer in Allah, if you want to show Allah gratitude, you have to have the knowledge of who you're pleasing. So knowledge of Allah, to understand the deen, you have to spend time learning it. And that is an obligation on every person. और एक hadith है that says, verily the angels lower their wings for the seeker of knowledge. The inhabitants of the heavens and the earth, even the fish in the depths of the water, seek forgiveness for the scholar. The virtue of the scholar over the worshipper is like the superiority of a moon over the stars. The scholars are the inheritors of the prophets. They do not leave behind gold or silver coins, but rather they leave behind knowledge. Whoever has taken hold of it has been given an abundant share. तो एक और narration है that talks about this कि हम लोग we are all spending the 1 hour on a Thursday, on a Sunday, seeking knowledge. So imagine this: the fishes in the depths of the ocean are asking for your forgiveness from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala just because you are giving it time to seek knowledge. how amazing, how beneficial can that be? I mean, the words of mercy of Allah are unimaginable, right? तो इस वक्त पे आप हम लोग इस घंटे में कितने फिशेस हमारे लिए अल्लाह से माफी मांग रहे हैं, right? That is the benefit of seeking knowledge. एक और एक narration है that says, if you are not, so try to seek to be a scholar. If not, then listen to a scholar, get some from it. If not, just love the scholar because he's spreading knowledge. So it is that is how important is to seek knowledge, because knowledge not only comes from books but also from hearing people, from hearing the ones who have learned this for many years to come, many years ahead, right? So you have to be able to seek knowledge, and knowledge comes from reading the book and listening to scholars and understanding what they're saying. So हर time आप जो spend करते in seeking knowledge, उस वक्त पे angels are covering you with the mercy. The fishes are asking for your forgiveness, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is giving you tranquility. So how, मतलब इससे अच्छा आपको क्या चाहिए? When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is sending his mercy upon you, then apart from the personal time, you have to give time for betterment of your own self, right? That means time to be healthy, time to give exercise, relax, just take some time just to relax, because every person needs time to relax. Just relaxing can just be sitting and just closing your eyes and just taking a power nap. Time relaxing could be going to a gym and just working out. Relaxing time could be going and playing with your friend tennis or basketball or football, jo bhi hai. That is a requirement that we all as human beings need to have. Then the next piece is community. So हम लोग अभी तक क्या बात करें? We did ibadah, we did work, we did family, we did personal time. Then we did the last piece that comes into play is community. That's called Fard Kifaya. Being the Messenger of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, the relationship of a believer with another believer is like the bricks of a building. Each strengthens the other. And he uses his two fingers to point like this, right? So हर मुसलमान की duty है to take part in the community and the betterment of the community. आप imagine करो आज के दिन जो मुसलमान उम्मा जो पोजीशन पे है, अगर imagine करिए कि हर मुसलमान ये community point पे time देगा and they start giving the community its time, how good will the community get? Imagine this, कि somebody is needed of help. We help them. They help somebody else. Our society is totally changing just because of the point of Fard Kifaya. So that is how important it is. And the best way you can learn this is through the Sahabas and the Prophet. Their life was to find out who needs help. किसको जरूरत है काम help की, they would help. There's a narration जहाँ पे Umar bin Khattab रज़ियल्लाहु अन्हु, Abu Bakr Siddiq रज़ियल्लाहु अन्हु, and Prophet ﷺ were basically taking a walk in the middle of the night because they had no food to eat at home. उस वक्त पे और एक सहाबा थे जो sees them and invites them to the house, and he feeds them. He has a goat, he cuts the goat, he feeds them, and उस वक्त पे the Prophet ﷺ says, oh Abu Bakr and Umar, this is the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He fed us through somebody, right? Now this person jo feed kiya because he went out in search for people who need help. If he hadn't gone out, these people would have remained hungry. So the point is, you have to be out in the community to understand who needs help. We all know the hadith, all the narration of Abu Bakr Siddiq when he was the Khalifa. Every morning after Fajr prayers, he would go to a faraway house. He would spend a few hours there and come back. When Umar ibn Khattab Radhiyallahu anhu went to find out what was happening, the woman told him this person comes every day, he does the housework, he does the cooking of the house, he cleans the clothes, and he goes. And he is at this moment pe, he was the Khalifa of the Ummah. His position was extremely high. Phir bhi, he would go out in seeking who needs help. So as a community, as a Muslim, as a believer of
fell
Allah
down.
subhanahu wa ta'ala, we have to be able to give the community its time. That it could be as simple as just volunteering at the mosque on a weekend, or just going a little early and just helping out with some services, anything.
No.
Funerals में हिस्सा लेना, किसी की death हुई, going all the way to the graveyard for the burial, because her step that you take towards that is a expiation of your sins. So community service is of extremely importance to be a true believer in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So again, ये 5 steps है for ibadah, work, family, personal time, and community. अगर हम all of us work towards building these 5, ये 5 चीजों को अपनी लाइफ में ला सकें, ये 5 चीजों को अपने लाइफ में again, the ratio is all depending on you, right? You can figure out आपका ratio क्या है. You can say, okay, you know what, I will give each person 20% of time, or 10% here, 5% there. That's up to you. So it's extremely important that we have to be able to give each of these 5 departments need to be given time. Again, you are an investor, you are here to invest, you are trying to attain Jannah. आपको अपने profit को बड़ी करना है and reduce your losses. So you do deeds that help you in gaining profits and help you with deeds. Remember one thing, we are always going to be sinning at every moment. So how do we continue to expiate your sins? By doing deeds that benefit us in the hereafter. तो अगर हम सब ये अपने लाइफ में ला सकें, इंशाअल्लाह ताला, it'll make us a better Muslim. It'll help us improve the society around which we are living around. And again, pehla is, if you look at how Islam thinks, Surah Nur में आप बताते हैं, पहले you improve yourself, then you improve your family, then you go to the community.
How do you know you improve?
So somebody is on here, right? तो पहले आप अपने आप को improve करो, attain, balance your life in all these departments, then work on benefiting the family, then you go out to the community. ये अगर 3-step process हर मुसलमान कर सका, it's going to improve the society tremendously, exponentially. So that is, and not only that, it'll help us attain Jannah. Because again, I come back to the one point that I always say, हमारा time is fixed. We do not know how long we have in this world. So अपने husn khatima को सही करो. Make your last deeds the best of your deeds that happened. We're gonna spend 30-40 years of our life in being ghafil, being totally on the wrong path. But we may have only 5-6 years left. We may have 10 years left. We may have 2 years left. But whatever time we have, let's use that to make and work towards our akhirah. Because the repentance of Allah, the mercy of Allah is unparalleled. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, even if your deeds are as high as the mountain, if you come and seek tawbah from Him, I will forgive your sins. I'll forgive you. So, Allah is the most forgiving. But make the sincere intention in your heart and move forward. The sincerity is what Allah is looking for. Actions are by intentions. आप अपनी sincerity लाओ, हर कदम पे, हर morning आप जब उठते, ये सोच के उठो कि आज इंशाल्लाह I will change, I will do things for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I'll work towards the akhirah. Maybe starting में आप करेंगे. Again in the afternoon, you may drift off into the fitness of the world. But again, next day, again, same thing start. Inshallah, today I will change myself. Har din is a new day till your last day. That is the way we have to take our life and approach life with that idea. So that is what I had for this session. Hopefully it was of help. I'll open my thing for anybody who wants to add a few points to this thing, inshallah ta'ala, and then we can commence.